approximately 3 times its production cost, and its home video releases and television broadcasts were also very profitable, with the film earning Capcom, just Capcom, a return of $165 million.
It's crazy.
Good for them. I mean, and, you know, we're sitting here like, oh, they had their hands all over it, and they kept doing this. You can't say they're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, you're damn right we did.
Yeah.
You damn right we did. And Raul Julia was nominated for this in the Saturn Awards, which I don't know a lot about. And it was nominated for Best Science Fiction Film.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
So, there's some information about... Oh, I guess we can talk a little bit about Chun-Li.
Yeah, I mean...
Which was supposed to be a lot of the original people, or at least reached out.
Right.
Gaia was reached out to.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ming Wen wasn't, but... Because it ended up going to Kristen Curick.
Yeah.
Who, fun fact, was almost a NXIVM. Or was a NXIVM.
Was it? I've never seen NXIVM.
It's not a movie.
What is
the
NXIVM?
cult. It's a sex cult.
Oh, the sex cult, the Smallville sex cult, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so she had gone to
I've never seen that movie.
Smallville sex cult.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like
Clark sounds like a badass movie.
Yeah, Clark has to deal with the Smallville sex cult. But she plays Chun-Li. It was a bad movie. I saw it. I don't know if I saw it in the theaters, but I did see the movie.
I never saw Chun-Li. No.
I rented it.
Ooh. Was that a Blockbuster rental?
Yeah.
No. Village Video? Is that what it was?
No, Video Warehouse.
Video Warehouse,
yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. It was
tough weekend for Hannah March.
Yeah, very disappointing. I think I was renting my own movies at that point. Yeah, it was 2009, so... Yeah, I was renting my own videos at that point. And I would have seen this and been like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah.
For some reason, I always thought that this movie... Even when I was thinking about it today, and I was like, oh yeah, we should talk about that. I was like, it's pretty cool that Channing Tatum was in it.
Yeah.
But it's not Channing Tatum.
Who is it?
Chris Klein.
Chris Klein, that's right. Yeah. Yes,
but I always, up until just now, I was like, let me pull up my stuff on it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's...
Yeah.
So, we're going to get into sort of a scene-setting time period check of 94. Mark is going to take us through that. But before we do that, let's talk about one final piece of this movie. We've talked about the actors. We've talked about the problems on set. But let's talk about maybe the hidden gem of this whole movie.
Yeah.
The soundtrack. And it's interesting, as we're about to list off the heavy hitters of hip-hop, but this movie doesn't feature any songs except the one ballad that we hear when he's on the boat and he puts the VHS tape in.
Right.
And he watches a video of him assaulting a woman. He's not assaulting her, but she's obviously perturbed by him. It was probably like he was 3 hours late to do that one thing.
Hopped up,
And she's like, please stop. Anyway, so other than that ballad, no music is like really like the forefront.
Right.
Which is a shame because listen to some of the people on the soundtrack. Let's just start with Ice Cube, who does the title track, Street Fighter, which you hear at the beginning during the opening cage fight between Ryu and Vega. And then, name drop here, Marcus.
Nas.
Woo!
One-on-one. Biggest, one of the top 3, I mean, to some people, the best rapper of all time. Yeah. I mean, you have LL Cool J.
Jeez.
You have Ice Cube and LL Cool J in the same track. You have Craig Mack.
You have Public
Enemy. And then the coup d'etat of this soundtrack.
Talk about it.
So, of course, we had Addams Family, the two Addams Family Values, with the Addams Family with MC Hammer.
MC Hammer was on the soundtrack,
killing it at this time.
They do what they want to do,
say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play, dance how they But
damn, I didn't know you were going to go that far.
You have MC Hammer featuring Adam, featuring.
Oh, probably no one epitomizes 90s sports
fashion. Swag.
I mean, in terms of like what I don't want to say the modern athlete, because even that, he was sort of in a league all of his own. He was he before Bo?
Cool. No, because Bo was a year before him.
Okay.
Bo was 88, Dion was 89.
Dual sport, all-pro, all-star.
Yeah.
Mr. Primetime. Deion Sanders.
Deion effing Sanders, man.
I have remembered talks of him doing like rap.
Right.
But I don't think I'd ever... I certainly didn't know it was on the Street Fighter soundtrack.
I had no idea.
And there's a music video.
Yeah. There is a music video featuring Van Damme. Sagat's on there. Vega's on. Everybody is on there. It's like it is a Street Fighter video that you would see on MTV. Yeah.
And we're going to post it on our... I mean, we were just floored by this.
Right.
So be on the lookout for that. If you've heard this, go check out our Facebook page right now.
I'm just so taken aback that I didn't know about this as a kid, man.
Why wasn't it a single?
Right.
Why?
If I knew Deion wasn't anything rapping, I would have immediately jumped in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 1994, Adam was 11 years old. I would have been into Hammer.
Yeah.
Man, what a big year for Hammer.
Yeah.
He's coming off Addams Family. He's done Street Fighter.
Right.
Straight to my feet. His little R&B jam with the classic 90s bop to it.
Yeah.
And Deion coming in on the rapping track. Van Damme lip-syncing along.
Cigar in hand.
Coked out of his mind, I'm sure. I always say coked out of his mind. I think it's a great phrase. He may not have been all the time, but it seems like he was most of the time. So that's the soundtrack. And now, we talked about Adam in 94. Let's take you all back to get you, before we talk about the movie more in depth and some of our favorite scenes and things like that. Marcus is going to help us set the scene for this 1994. December of
1994.
1994. Talk to us, Marcus.
So, in this nostalgia, I wanted to... There's a lot of things we could do, a lot of things we have done. Mm-hmm. We've done events, we've done everything like that. I think what this, and what I touched on briefly at the beginning of this podcast, was something big and dear to my heart. And I think, like, as any kid during this time.
Yes.
And without giving it away, there was one place where events happened in my childhood. There was one place where I could go as a kid and I could be a man.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was one place I could go and get dropped off at.
I know exactly where you're
And I could be the person I wanted to be. I could be the cool kid. I could be the rap kid. I could be into anything at that time.
Your $20 would last you 8 hours.
Give me $20. Give me
my Sbarro slice.
There you go. You're already naming 3 things that are in this list of nostalgia that I have. And I'm talking about none other than the fucking mall.
Ooh. Yes.
I think 94 was the epitome of the mall. Now, keep in mind, too, we were coming off 2 years from the Mall of America being built.
My gosh.
It's the heyday. It's the Wild West for consumerism. It is.
Malls are it.
Yeah, it is. That's where you go.
Ooh.
You can eat. You can entertain. You can shop. You can flirt.
Go
you
on
can
a
make
date.
out.
Yes.
You can use the bathroom.
Dippin' Dots. Ice cream of the future.
God, come on, man. And I think at this time, 94, as I remember it right before high school, was the biggest for the Odessa Mall.
The Odessa Mall.
And that was the place to go.
That was the mall. All right.
Now, it has now since been rebought, and it is called the Music City Mall. So now our mall, which is still standing, you can go into this mall, and anytime you walk 50 feet, 100 feet, you're going to see another musician playing something. So it's the Music City Mall. Everybody is doing something different. So maybe it's not that close together, but down the stretch of this mall is different people playing different things.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. So you can be a kid just practicing your violin and you're playing in the mall. You can be playing on the piano. You can be singing a cappella. You can be doing something. But the last time I went back to my mall in Odessa, I mean, it had to be, I think, God, it was probably like 2011, 12, right when Megan and I started dating. So probably around 2012 or 13.
Megan's his wife.
Yeah. And I think that had to be the last time. But I just remember this place, and I think that's what Street Fighter led me to it, because in our mall we had the arcade. So across from the arcade is Chelsea Street Pub.
Yes.
Food, dining, alcohol, every parent's dream. And this is where we would go a lot of the times for after Little League games, too.
Ooh.
And there was smoking at this time inside. So just think of your parents just smoking it up, Salem Lights, just Jack and Cokes flowing, and you're just sitting with your baseball team in this room filled with smoke and shitty cheeseburgers. But it's the best night. It's a Friday night. You just got done with the game.
Yep.
You don't care about secondhand smoke. all you care about is that arcade
Yes.
right across the way.
Now, is that what would happen?
That's what would happen.
Your parents would be like,
Yeah.
we're going to sit here and drink.
Right. That's
So,
exactly what happened. Walk in, sit down. I'd probably get a drink, get a Coke, get a cherry Coke, get something, a little exciting. It's Friday night.
Marcus is feeling good.
Yeah, I am.
He just went 2 for 3
Right?
with an RBI.
Yeah. I have big league dreams in mind, You never know what can happen.
Passed out the glove.
Trying to pull my parents out of this shithole of Odessa, Texas. And
Take that, Odessa, Texas.
but we would have our drinks, me and my friends, and we would get our $10, $5 went a long way back then too. But whatever it was, we'd take that, go right across to the arcade. My parents would say, we'll come and get you when the food's here, and we'd go play. But it's not just the arcade itself, because of course I have memories of Street Fighter. I have memories of do you remember Street Fighter as far as the handcuff glitch? Do you remember the handcuff glitch? So Guile has a handcuff glitch in Street Fighter. I can't remember if it's World Warrior or which one it is. If anybody knows, please let us know. I just remember as a kid playing Street Fighter for the very first time in the arcade, and you put your quarters up on the arcade cabinet, be next. And I remember just waiting there when I was next, and me and some friends we were dressed in our Kiwanis baseball. And
like, everyone's like, oh shit, these guys are athletes.
These guys are athletes, dude. And we'd be sitting there waiting, and this one guy says, "Hey, do you know about the handcuff glitch?" And I'm like,
there was nothing. I want to interrupt real quick because there's nothing better than being at the arcade or playing a video game and you're with someone who knows.
Nothing. You have
really
in on it. It is. It is.
And when you see it, I had a friend like this with Mortal Kombat finishers.
Yeah.
And he would show me any one. I'd be like, "Oh, do Johnny Cage." And
right.
He would do it. He would rip the spine out, and I was just like, I didn't even want to learn how to. I could care. I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Hand on my face to my hand, just like, wow.
I could go in there as the most unconfident kid, but once you know that guy and he talks to you, and he's a friend to you, you have that BDE right there. You got that big dick energy. Yeah.
So you have your quarters on the
right. Have my quarters. Guys ask me, "Hey, do you know about the Guile cuff glitch?" And it all sounds so cool. It's like, yeah, I know about it. Mark knows about it. I have no idea about it.
No, of course not.
But he's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to show you because I don't think." And he called me out. I was like, "I don't think you know it, but I'm going to show it to you." And he ends up playing. He ends up playing next, and he just kicks this guy's ass. But in the midst of fighting, and my apologies, I can't remember if it was Guile or Chun-Li who actually has the glitch. But apparently, if you do a certain uppercut or some move at a certain time when you're close up, then you lock hands. You can lock hands with the enemy, and they can't do anything. Then you're just attached to each other, and it's like this weird glitch that happened. I mean, it's easily where I could look it up on YouTube, but I didn't want to ruin the mystique of it, to see it.
This is great.
Yeah, and
because this is how.
We didn't have internet back then. Right.
Even when we talk about I talked about earlier, Ollie talking about Blood In, Blood Out, and this movie that had become mystical in my head.
Right.
And I watched it, I'm like, but yeah, you hear about these things. People, your friends describe in nothing but hyperbole these games they play or these moves they do. And then when you see it, it is kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That was exactly it. And like he showed it to me, and it's like, it wasn't cool, but it's like he told me something and he did it, and that was cool kind of thing, because I knew nothing about it. And then I remember, kind of growing up a little bit, like maybe 2 years later, and Mortal Kombat being out, and I went to the arcade again, and I'm like 14 at this time, 15, whatever, and it's like I knew about Reptile and Mortal Kombat, and some kids my age, 2 or 3 years ago were there, and I'm like, let me show you Reptile. I do a double flawless on the pit, do a fatality, bam, I show him Reptile with the guy with Santa going across the moon, look to La Luna, all the key codes that you got to have whenever you're getting Reptile, and they were just amazed. And it was just like,
probably still talk about that.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure.
You were probably that figure for them. The guy who showed you the handgun.
Right,
like, there was this guy. And they're like, he had a backwards hat.
Yep. Had a backwards Yankees hat with at that time it was cool to have like a nickname stitched on. Do you remember this?
What was your nickname?
Too Short. I've never told anybody that.
Why?
We were part of the Short Cool crew back then,
man. Were you short?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was like...
What are you, 6 foot now?
5'11". I won't even squeeze in that extra. Sure. Yeah, I'll be truthful. But I think like at that time, I was probably like 5'4", 5'5".